Batman's probably one of the greatest heroes of all time, the architect of the Justice League, and somebody that's just known to be able to overcome impossible to win odds time and time again. But why do I feel like his absolute counterpart is still just so much better? In today's video, we're going to be covering an interesting topic, which is just Batman Prime Earth versus Absolute Batman, and why I don't even think it's close or comparable between these two. We know from the DC KO event that they've kind of been implied to be the most primal version and again absolute versions of the characters. These are versions of the characters that you've kind of stripped away everything that makes them in the regular universe and throw them in there and see what they would do. And Absolute Batman is what he is, just a primal beast. He's Bruce Wayne with no money and none of the resources that a regular Batman would have, but yet he's fighting seemingly stronger opponents and legitimate eldritch abominations every other Tuesday. Meanwhile, we have our current Batman at current time seemingly getting one-upped by random thugs on the street. What's happening? Well, in my opinion, I feel like Batman over the years has been, declining in his age. And they've kind of made this really clear in Night Fight, where he gets absolutely outclassed by Nightwing. And it wasn't even a close fight, but he kind of implies that he's always knew that his predecessors would surpass him. They're just him, but younger, better, and stronger, right? And if we match him up against our current version of Absolute Batman, this Bruce Wayne is a 21-year-old, 6'9", 400-pound beast of a man. And he doesn't have anywhere near the resources that our regular Batman does, but he's, again, fighting things like Bane, Killer Croc, and this coming demonic Joker that only God knows what he's gonna do to our Batman. But when I see this matchup, I kind of compare it to Batman versus his Bane from Prime Earth, and the matchup is really similar in the sense of Batman always struggles against his Bane because we just know the narrative paints that Bane is just another Batman. He's another skilled opponent behind a mask. But what makes Batman struggle so much fighting against Bane is that Bane is not no slouch. Bane is a highly adept martial artist with a high IQ level. And that makes things difficult because Batman's, used to fighting a lot of thugs on the street that aren't really on the level that he is. I'm not saying that they're bums or anything, because we just know that average League of Assassins members are masters of all martial art, and we'll put that on screen in quotes. But Bane is just, adept in comparison to all these masters, and it really throws a wrench in Batman's usual game plan because now he has to fight somebody that's at a similar skill level with him in martial arts and is also just way bigger and way stronger, which is how I view the matchup between him and Absolute Batman. But on top of him just being way bigger and way stronger than the Batman that we know, he's just way more vicious and way more willing to do whatever it takes to, get the W in that sense. Meanwhile, our current Batman isn't really as hungry as like that anymore. He's kind of out of touch of his prime. We see this happen in the current volume when Batman kind of just eats a shell to the back of the head from a downed opponent. This is really out of character for him, and it's very strange because usually Batman has eyes in the back of his head always. That's how he trains his Robins to be. And this issue is kind of a strange relationship between him and Robin, because Robin kind of carries the chapter, takes care of most of the villains, and has to drive Batman to safety by the end of it. It's very strange because it's kind of seeing and showing us that Batman's really relying on a lot of his gear and a lot of his tech to make up for his age, and this isn't really good against somebody like Absolute Batman, which is just a hungry, devouring monster, right? And again, going back to the DC KO statement, Darkseid implies that these three characters in comparison to our Prime Earth counterparts are just horrors. They're monsters in comparison. And that's how he made them to be. That's why he stripped Bruce Wayne of everything that kind of made him Bruce Wayne in Prime Earth to make something more dangerous, something more, primal. And in that sense, I feel like, Batman would have a lot of struggle against them and would really have to resort to extremely underhanded tricks, but I don't know how many underhanded tricks Batman has under his belt to deal against something of that nature. We even see against him when he spars Robin. Robin gets a one-up on him. He low blows him and kind of walks away and, tells him this is what you taught me in the past, and he did it to him. And showing that Batman's kind of softened up, and not just softened up, but he's kind of forgetting of what the nature of how he fights and you know, not relying on his past lessons of, you know, always being on guard. We know that Batman is somebody with highly capable precognition and ability to sense when something's going wrong. He's the world's greatest detective, right? And that's kind of the joke of it, that Batman is just Batman and he's always gonna have a one-up on you and he always knows what you're gonna do. You know, we see this happen all the time. Even in the animated shows, when he just kind of sneaks Green Lantern's ring off him, he doesn't even know what happened. But again, it just seemingly is the case that Batman's just out of touch of his prime. Night Fight really solidifies that statement when Batman has just come to the conclusion that all his predecessors are just able to beat him up. It's really sad to see, but I feel like a prime Batman would have a better case, but as it stands now, a current Batman just wouldn't be able to compare with his absolute counterpart. We see this guy with literally no real tech and no real gear and DIY weapons fighting against monsters and eldritch abominations beyond like human conception. He's fighting Godzilla in the sewers. He's fighting Super Bane. He's fighting the same Bane regular Batman fights, but just way bigger, the size of a damn house, and way stronger and probably faster, with none of the gear and the capabilities that our Batman would have current day. So overall, from what I see from this matchup, is just Absolute Batman. It was just made to be a younger, hungrier, stronger, and more vicious version of the Bruce Wayne that we know and love today. And honestly, Bruce Wayne is on a decline while he's just getting better. So from everything that we've seen so far, I just think Absolute Batman just has the edge on him in every category except money. So that's my top, that's my 2 cents on the topic. I hope you guys like this sort of conversation. Make sure to like and subscribe, and maybe I'll cover some more topics about Absolute Batman in the future. Thank you guys for tuning in on the video.